Bring girl home. Forgot about the home defense shotgun leaning up beside the bed. She looks at it and leaves. My face went. How do you deal with girls and guns, Kay? If she's so turned off by the sight of a gun that she leaves, she's not worth keeping around, or especially not worth putting your dick inside. You dodged a bullet, honestly. Bring girl home. I seriously hope you guys don't do this. When you invite a woman into your space, she needs to feel safe. Toilet knife, taxidermy in the freezer, shotgun by the bed, they're all warning signs to her. Why would she ever stay over somewhere so unsafe that a man feels the need to have a shotgun laying out, not stored somewhere, even a quick access safe? Keep them out of sight, locked up. Act like the most uptight range officer you've ever met if they ever come out. After the second or third date, ask if she wants to go target shooting, then catch lunch. Be soft and familial about everything. Target shooting is a hobby of mine. It was something I'd do with my dad on the weekend. Apparently, it was something he shared with his dad. Only use a .22 LR to start. Go to the nicest indoor range in your area, or one that has a smaller side range you'd be able to use without some FUD booming its 12 gauge 2 stalls over. Go over the safety rules with her. Show her through your actions how mindful of safety you are on and off the range. The math completely changes once you're in a committed relationship. Your space is her space. You are effectively her big guard dog. She is not entering your space and evaluating it for safety. Ironically, it's probably easier to introduce guns after locking in the relationship. The exact opposite of motorcycles. Toilet knife, dual purpose. This guy doesn't have a toilet knife, not gonna make it. My face when the letter opener knife, pill splitting knife, forest sticking knife, and home defense machete out in the open. I'm gonna fuck up so bad if I ever get a girl over. Keep it disassembled and in a safe. Problem solved. Disassembled. Fag. Safe. Super fag. Put it in a safe when you wake up. Take it out before you go to bed. I deliberately leave out anime figures and guns to filter out women. Keep filtering women. Start dating women. Be careful, Anon. Home defense shotgun. She left you for an AR Chad. It's a regular day for you as a janitor or teacher at the school, but suddenly there's a school shooter afoot. What do? How do you protect the people? Or do you escape? I'd escape through the ceiling tiles. Lots of wiring and plumbing there. In the toilet and crawl to safety. I think your version of escaping is not well educated on how those things are constructed. I've put some of that shit up there. It's light, not weight-bearing, and super obvious you went up there. Best thing is to hang out at the doorway and hit them with something heavy on their noggin and then follow up with kicks to the throat. No one remembers the hero, but everyone remembers the coward. Pretty hard to disarm someone, especially if they have a pistol or an assault rifle. Although more likely a pistol than an assault rifle in my cunt. If I'm a janitor, I probably have keys, so I'd find a room that's out of the way and lock myself in it. Maybe even the janitor's closet. What do? Depends. Shooting is coming from the other side of the building. Lock the door. If I'm on the bottom floor, or there isn't too much of a drop, I'd start pushing kids through the windows and hope there's not a second shooter waiting for runners. If the drop is too great, just barricade the door with whatever heavy shit is available and tell the kids to stay dead quiet until the issue resolves itself. The shooter is right outside the classroom or is inside the classroom when the shooting starts. Rush him and try to overpower him. Either I get shot down like a retard or I succeed and become king shit in the town. Either way, I'm getting a library named after me. I shoot the perp with my concealed carry. But you work at a school and you can't carry a gun there. Don't care. Still carrying a gun. Still popping the shooter. Finland prepares to leave Ottawa treaty banning anti-personnel landmines. Finland's defense spending will be increased to 3% of GDP by 2029, and much of that money will go towards upgrading Finnish army equipment. Are mines really that much of a game changer? Not just mines, all of the weapons that Europeans signed treaties over because they expected the US to do all their fighting for them. Okay, since most people still don't understand it, they do this so they can buy or produce mines and send them to Ukraine as aid. It doesn't mean they want to use them themselves. Mines are immoral and unethical, except when we give them to others to use. Midwit retard, stop posting. The world isn't black and white. Sometimes good men must do evil things. They are definitely using them, no doubt about it. Yes, we do want to use them, and we will use them if the time comes. We even had training for not landmines in the military when they were still banned. It's an effective area denial weapon for a defender. No matter whether we use them or not, In case of war, the eastern border will be filled with them anyway because Russians use them. So we might as well use them too. We found Russians, when they get stuck, throw men by the thousands over open fields. So yes, they are a big deal at stopping these kind of attacks. There's nothing funnier to me than watching a Canadian arms treaty collapse in real time. BPICM bros, we're going home. Mines are rapidly gaining tactical envelope. Presence, proximity, or contact is in the treaty definitions, so that is basically any left-in-place autonomous weapon with explosives at the end. A downed FPV drone with anti-handle could be considered a mine, although prosecution would have to establish misuse. Those treaties were dumb anyway. Also, Princess Diana was a whore. Mines should only be banned for third world countries. See Africa, where they would just dump them from helicopters for children to walk over, allowing a normal European country to produce them and deploy them in a civilized manner as a border wall is a nothing burger. Banning them in the first place was absolutely delusional and done under the most leftist government and president in our history. Luckily, our armed forces knew it wouldn't last. All weapons that are banned aren't banned because of effectiveness per se, but if they were not effective, they would have no need to be banned. Game changer. Very cheap and very effective area denial that we usually don't have to stoop to because shitting out live explosives over gigahectares is ugly for everyone in the long run. Finns are the OG TZD scholars, though, and who knows what kind of brain-dead stunt the demented Russian bear pig will try next. You can sprinkle them onto any place of strategic importance, like say a nation's farmland, and deny it to civilian access while technically not violating any laws against targeting civilians. Having proper defensive positions means that you can let your guys enjoy more regular working hours, and that you need to wake up less of them whenever somebody is trying to scout your positions. It's a good thing unless you're a tech CEO or someone who has to find reasons as to why you're paying rent for office space. Who could have known that Russian demining doctrine is still the one by Zhukov? Is not knowing your next step is going to blow you up that big of a game changer? Europeans only banned landmines because they were protected by the US. Suddenly, when they have to defend themselves, all those fake humanitarian stances evaporate. Landmines, cluster bombs, mercenaries all come screaming back. Lamau, in my country, we were taught that mines are only wink-wink allowed to be used manually. As in, a guy pulls a wire and a dozen Russians get claymored. I hope my country also pulls out of it. As an independent gun shop owner, I know I can't compete with online retailers, so I make up for it. I'll offer terrible customer service and outrageous prices. Yeah, that's how to run a business. Why are so many gun shops like this? Trying to support my local gun shop. Always do online orders through them. Transfer is $50. Don't complain because the only other FFL in my area is an Academy Sports and I don't feel like driving 45 minutes to the next closest dealer. Buy a Wasser off Atlantic Firearms. Gun shop isn't on their FFL. See a sketchy ass pawn shop down the road. Call them. Transfer fee is $10. Order my gun and pick it up without any issue. This is what I get for supporting local businesses. Only reason I buy from my local shop is I like to actually see and feel the exact gun I'm getting before I buy. And my place is close enough in price to not bother me. It may be cheaper online, but after shipping fees, credit card fees, and transfer fees, the difference is negligible. All of my FFLs have colluded on the same $50 transfer fee. Pawn shop, gun store, or Ted running an FFL out of his house is all $50 where I am. Isn't the point of fucking Ted to undercut all of them? What the hell is Ted thinking? Yeah, similar story here. LGS went from $25 transfer fee to $40, so it's sticking with the home FFL for $20. $50. I got charged $62 at a swing state gun store touting dozens of Trump things everywhere. When I called, they said $35. Gun store employee is passive aggressive when you pick up your gun when they're basically getting free money. Stock better guns, fag. I have a local pawn shop that does all my transfers. The owner has huge tits and looks great for $60 and only charges $20 for transfers. My buddy has a tabletop FFL, so I go through him. I buy a box of ammo from him as payment. $50, $40, $25, $20 transfer fees. Bait and switch transfer fees. $35 to $62. LGS may not be on FFL list. What the fuck is that? Jesus, bros, I fell for you. My store has $0 transfer fees. As long as it's not shipped from Florida, $8, Illinois, $2, Pennsylvania, $2, Tennessee, $10, Virginia, $5. Those states charge a background check fee on the FFL itself each and every time for each and every firearm, even if multiples of the exact same firearm is being sent to the exact same FFL on the exact same ship. Talk about a fucking money grab. These small store owners think they need to make $200K a year off their store, plus pay staff, so they need to rape you in the asshole with prices. Go to gun store with $3,000 burning a hole in my pocket. Ask to see $2,400 safe queen under the glass. Employee takes it out and hands me it. Owner or manager scoffs and says to him, "Why did you take that out? Do you really think he's going to buy it?" Hand it back, flash the cash, and walk out. I'm here to give you money. I'm not here to be insulted while doing it. K gets permission to go privateering. Hypothetical timeline. The US, Japan, and Vietnam are sick of mainland China's shit and unanimously green lights lawful piracy against all military and commercial vessels owned by China, as well as the CCP's allies such as Pakistan, Myanmar, and Best Korea. Everything within 9- line is fair game. What do, fellow crew? Modernized PT boat with brimstone or hellfire missiles instead of torpedoes. Hunt smaller missile boats in packs. Maybe we'll crowdfund some stingers or similar to slap on to the front. Sometimes it is better to beg for forgiveness than ask permission. Sinking the commercial ships would be to sink any profit you could make doing this. You'll need something to deal with air threats, missiles, but most importantly, you'll need a way to launder the shit you steal. So you pull up, board, take the crew, now what? Where do you take the ship? How do you get the ship out of the local zone? And where do you sell all that shit you stole? Most of that is going to be other nationals' property. So it's not like you can just eBay the shit. Anyone within range of China isn't going to take the goods. At least they get their asses bombed. So you'd have to take the shit directly to Africa and hope for the best, suppose. Myanmar has been abducting chicks for years unmolested. The abductors are Chinese mafias based in Myanmar. Myanmar, Cambodia, and Laos are basically Chinese narco states. Nothing you can realistically get your hands on is going to give you a chance against the autocannon on Chinese Coast Guard ships. You might be surprised what you can get your hands on. Parsons' farewell intensifies. Let's ignore the whole crew recovery of assets from the shipping. Say you just wanted to inflict damage upon the shipping, just sinking the cargo ships. Say you get a bounty per ship sunk, so you can maintain operations. How do you effectively take out a ship with means a small-scale non-state group could feasibly acquire? If we look at the Houthi mess, cheap missiles don't do the job. They can damage, maybe cripple, but outright sinking isn't a common result. So how do you do the following? Remain undetected from military assets. Inflict effective damage. Use affordable assets to do the above. At the start of the operation, I would not expect man-pads on deck. Possibly, it could be effective to target the bridge of the ship with homemade explosives dropped via seaplane. Fly or boat the seaplane into the AO. Then launch an attack. Let's assume Indonesia's mothballed Grumman HU-16 Albatrosses can get back in the air. That's 11,750 pounds of payload. Viable? Another thought with the Albatross is direct fire weapons. I imagine in this timeline getting access to Hind rocket pods wouldn't be a massive challenge. Will the commonly trafficked Hind munitions do the trick if fired at the waterline? Gotta imagine rockets would be the easiest to acquire weapons that have a chance of punching holes in hulls. Once you strike, you could land the aircraft in the islands and attempt to hide it, and remain mobile for any hunter-killer assets looking for you. But once they start fielding escorts and man-pads on board, there's no way it would remain viable. What would be the upgrade provided the bounties on the ships paid enough before the defensive escalation kicked in? Figuring each UB-32 pod weighs 582 to 1,025 pounds loaded, depending on load, and the span of the wings such, you could probably get 4 pods on the wings. That's 2,328 to 4,000 pounds of your 11,750 pound payload. Considering the payload configuration accounted for fuel and 5,000 pounds of cargo in service. That seems within spec, though probably spend the remainder in reinforcement of the wings. Not sure which rocket would be the best. I assume heat/frag would do the job. S5 KPB, 32 by 4 of them at the waterline. Blow big hole. Shred internal piping and wiring to effectively disable the ship. 2,850 nautical miles gives you plenty of hiding options, but probably not enough airspeed if you're detected to fuck off before jets come hammer your albatrossy. There's no law that says privateering has to be done from a boat, so may I humbly suggest using the Seahawk. It can carry everything from an M2 Browning to a 30mm autocannon, a pair of lightweight torpedoes, 8 Hellfire ATGMs, a short-range ASHM, or a 5-man prize crew. It has a range of 500 miles, flies at 140 knots, can be refueled and rearmed from any jungle clearing big enough for the rotors to squeeze into, and is used by 16 different countries, which is more than enough for whoever's supplying us with spare parts and munitions to have plausible deniability. Wink wink. Going to need a tender/carrier for the heli/seaplanes. This is a 45-meter supply vessel. I imagine it would be a bitch to land on, but could get the job done. 1.1 million. Heavy investment, but offers a wider range of launch locations. In the same price range, you got 65-meter anchor working tugs you could probably strip down and fit a helicopter on. If budget isn't the limit, I'd source 200 SAT-controlled USVs like the ones used by Ukraine and use them to sink every single Chinese fishing vessel outside of their territorial waters. We'd need a way to get access to shipping manifests and know what will be worth plundering, like a freighter loaded with QBZ-95s. Would fetch a nice price on the collector market, and one loaded up with ONA holes would improve crew morale. K does not realize that 3/4 of plan is in that area, and even if you give Vietnam and the Philippines 3/4 of the US Navy, they still wouldn't do shit. The only reason this didn't happen ages ago was because the Navy was non-existent to pathetic, but once they started slowly growing in the 90s, they started encroaching undefended and unsecured islets and islands. By the 2000s, any country who didn't fortify their position would lose territory permanently like the Philippines did in 2010. Be China. We've always been antagonistic to our neighbors, but this time is totally different, and we swear our navy built up is only for self-defense against the imperialist Great Satanburger capitalist land. Proceeds to imperialize and not give a shit if they're a black kettle. Did people legit fall for this and not manage to see the writing on the wall? I can't be blamed for being ignorant because I was a retarded kid whose biggest worries in life was enduring the horrors of public education, so I could go home and stay up all night playing PS1 games. But what the fuck did the various heads of state think was gonna happen? Shit, if I was president of Pinoy Land back then, I would mind that shit and have asked Worst Korea to help me fortify those little islands further with their magic mountain technology. The problem is that the boats you're going to get are worth shit. The cargo is worth shit, and the people manning them are worth shit. All the bigger, more valuable ships are going to get reflagged. Your best bet would be to go after the fishing fleet and collecting money from environmentalists. VN mentioned. Time for shameless nationalist advertisement on K. Plus 26 anons on one ship. Plus 2 months endurance. I am unsure about the price, but VN Fishery Surveillance technically belongs to VN Ministries of Agriculture, but staffed by second-rate seamen, commissioned 50 of them in 2 batches. It should be cheap. If the standard weaponry is either 2 50 cals or one 14.5mm RCWS, the RCWS sounds like a scam actually. Only a few ships are equipped with it, but I suppose we could put something worthwhile on the front pedestal. Shameless nationalist advertisement. How's life going over there? 2 months endurance. So it's a glorified fishing boat with a gun, which isn't too bad. The important thing really is encrypted radio. Private companies do bid to transport supplies. Pick Related is currently supplying the outpost, and they can't stop it. That's why there's no news about ramming lately. I'm going after the smuggling and pirate ships that transit around Myanmar. I'm thinking teams with slimline scuba gear and sea scooters, on lines with deployable buoys for later retrieval, as well as grapple ladders, swimming from low-speed bypass during their frequent maintenance stops. High powers and Glock clones are all pretty popular, so they can take some 9mm frangible rounds so as to limit collateral on the boats mainly made from marine aluminum and wood. Their primary shouldn't be much longer than their forearm, and /knockoff weapons are pretty commonly available, so I think either MA4s or QBZ-97s for their primary arm. Most of the Chinese pirates are basically blackmailed by the PLA to smuggle weapons and drugs into sea, so they usually give up without a fight. All the better, as I will rescue the galley/deck slaves they forced to run the ship, as well as the sex trafficking victims. They will be brought to the Malaysian village I'll buy with the proceeds from my looted drugs, and either return home or stay to support my pirate paradise. The cutest trafficking victims will become my wives and bear me entire crews of bastards to gift new raiding ships to. I don't think Kay understands just how terrible war and sea would be for the global economy and balance. Literally, some of the largest exporters in the world are in that region, and war and sea will likely put East Asia into the conflict and mess. It'll be like the Houthi situation, but on steroids. World War III in shipping lanes. Privateers are back. Yar! Third away starve. It's too risky within the 9-dash line. I suggest hunting down illegal Chinese high seas fishing boats, depleting fish stocks, and damaging the unique environmentals surrounding the Galapagos, for example. The crews are kept typically in near-slave conditions. So board the ships, ransom the captain/company men, release the live catch, tell the crew to steer towards Guayaquil or something. Just get a fast cruiser from back in the day and rip and tear. Fishies eat good. Tugs. Drones that wipe out the tankers, electronics. Drag to port. Build up fleet of tankers and send them to safe zones. Buy more and better gear to the point of having mercenaries storm the things intact. Rinse and repeat. AI-controlled arsenal ships. You'd all get killed because you have no training or experience or even basic research on tactics. You just shoot a gun at a target. The Chinese Navy is big enough to easily defend those shipping lanes, not to mention their air force. I don't have much respect for chicoids, but I still don't see any way you could feasibly pirate in the region and get away with it. You would have to somehow sneak aboard ships and seize or otherwise disable their communications abilities, then pacify the crew. Good luck. Everyone here should be cautious about OP's motive. He might be using China as a target to get you to give him ideas. And these ideas can easily be put to use in other places like the Red Sea, where forces in Yemen are blockading the shipping lanes. Privateering on your own boat without intelligence on China's doorstep? No thanks. And unanimously greenlights lawful piracy. Any harbors hosting pirates are subsequently repeatedly obliterated by PLAN or PLAAF. While PLAN and Coast Guard vessels now have effectively free rein to board and seize any shipping from the offending states as pirates. All the while, most of the globe supports them because some retards decide to fuck with their trade with China for no goddamn reason. I have it on good authority that some of these rust buckets are still fueled and can be reactivated by those who have the audacity and boldness to seize such an opportunity. Trump geopolitics genius just forced Vietnam to be in China's lap, targeting Vietnam with massive taxes. Japan too, but they are submissive enough that they can be forced to go along with the US anyway, even if there is a high likelihood they will put a lot of effort into being neutral. So the US alone, using his bases in the region. Maybe some nominal Philippine support, and Japan might be fussy about US privateers operating off US bases in Japan. So I would expect US privateers operating out of the Philippine bases to be the most realistic thing as things stand. China has a very capable anti-shipping force, both planes, ships, planes, and missiles. So the most likely way is to operate using loitering sea drones deployed by small, cheap, attritable ships. They are like torpedoes, but stay dormant in area or float just under the water with currents till some target, if convenient, comes in range. Kind of like a sea mine, but with a range of 50 miles. Those would be a serious pain in the ass to handle, and larger immobile version can be deployed by ship or planes on the bottom of the seabed if it's not too deep. That would be likely the most cost-effective way to cause massive damage without exposing US vessels or other assets to island-mounted missiles and planes. As much as I would love some old-fashioned ship-based piracy, it's likely all going to be drones and helicopters in this situation. Do it like the Houthis did. Helicopter a squad over to take the crew hostage, then destroy all tracking/communications equipment on the ship, and change course to any port that will let us dock and sell the stolen shit. Maybe have one heli for transport and another heli for attack and AA. What are some of the best war museums in Europe that I should see? Could be a World War II themed one, as well as one of those that display modern tech, or one of those ranges that allow you to shoot their guns without a license, a thing in America. I already visited the Krieg Museum in Wine last year. UK, Royal Armouries Leeds is great. If you go around April, you can even get to see live jousting. Last time I went, I met some Californian guy who made his own armor and competed around Europe. Buffington Tank Museum, Churchill War Rooms in London, Muckleburgh Military Museum. Where do you want to go, OP? I'd personally suggest visiting Musée des Armées, the naval one in Paris. You can take a TGV to Lille in the evening and get much cheaper lodging there. Lille is also less than an hour away from Ypres, so you can take your pick of World War I museums. If you're going to take the TGV, order well ahead to get cheaper tickets. Can't wait for Kay to get doged during April Fools. Attend an air show hosted by the Shuttleworth Collection. Check out the Maginot Line. It consists of hundreds of overlapping bunkers and artillery fortresses that run the length of the France/German border, from Belgium to Switzerland along the Rhine. Most are still intact, with the larger ones set up as museums or display sites. Some are really impressive, underground castles/barracks that could house hundreds of troops at a time. The route also has many World War I or early fortresses along the way, as well as some later Cold War era facilities. You also get to experience the cultures and foods of both countries by hopping back and forth over the border. I did it a few years ago, camped in my car mostly, and spent a week or so exploring it. It gave me a good insight into early World War II and how fortifications adapted over centuries of warfare. Homeland War Museum in Dubrovnik, Military Museum in Belgrade. Balkanegger. Check here. I can recommend the newly rearranged VHU Army Museum in Prague. U Pamotniku 2 Praziskav. Housed in a purpose-built modernist building/memorial with a fuck-huge writing statue of Hussite Commander Jan Zizka. Nice view of Prague and 4 floors packed with stuff. It took me 4 hours to see about half of the exhibitions. Really nice collection of Czechoslovak interwar gun development. Weirdo SMG prototypes from late 40s. The Sten that failed to kill Heydrich, stuff from the Trans-Siberian Railroad campaign, plenty of Kraut World War II weaponry including Pupchin rocket gun and Volkssturm rifles. Free admission. Bring a €1 or a 5 ZZK coin for storage locker. No flash photography, no tripods, closed on Mondays, open 10 to 18 on any other day, but the staff would not let you in after 17:30 and start herding people out soon after that. A bit rude, but that's Chechnya. VHU Military History Institute has another museum outside of Prague in Lasani. It's only open in the summer. Bit tricky to get to Esp without a car, but you can take a local train from Prague to Karnais, which is a nice trip itself, housed in big hangars and open-sided sheds. There's a shitload of tightly packed warpack stuff, but also Western tanks, supply train for a German railway gun, Wurzburg Reese radar, Czechoslovak 1930s tanks, artillery collection of Skoda guns, and so on. Free admission as well. It's easy to travel from Prague to Dresden to see the Military History Museum in Bundeswehr. I heard some nice comments about that as well and plan on visiting it myself. Forgot to mention VHU Lesny does a field day every summer where they take out and run a lot of their stuff in a demo arena, including a restored LT-35 and 38, Tankettes, Centurion, M48, etc. This year it's going to be on August 30th, Bundeswehr Military History Museum in Dresden, Germany. And yes, I know that metal spike on the outside looks like shit. Still pretty cool museum, can strongly recommend. Range stories. This absolute unit walks into the range and starts making fun of your built AR. What do you even do? Tell him about that time I fucked a she-male after shooting. He'd probably be interested in that story. Twist the windage and elevation knobs on his scope. The range officer would tell him to return to his lane and politely ask him to refrain from being a gay faggot. Hand him my elephant rifle with the spicy rounds. Everyone's big shit until your gun actually has recoil. My AR is built for CQB, and his is built for precision, so I'd call him a faggot and shoot him. I don't care about your homosexual fantasies, but my range story is, be me. In-laws are farmers with 400 acres. Go to farm 10 minutes from me. Father-in-law left the keys in the Bobcat for me. Load up my steel targets in the bucket. Set targets up wherever the hell I want. Shoot steel to my heart's content. Pick up my brass cause I'm white. Father-in-law reloads, so drop my brass off at the house before I leave. Stop at Mr. Burger for a Mr. Burger combo and a Dr. Pepe. Go home. I smile and nod, pretending to understand his Brazilian gibberish. Then I say, "Me so sorry, me no speaky español," real slow and loud, in that voice you use when you're talking to retarded foreigners. Then I go back to shooting my infill and forget the brownie exists. HughWalk.png. Did he slap your girlfriend's ass too? Actually just hit the range the other day. A very good time. Shot some pistols in my AR. Time to finish up with my shotgun for lulz. Kneel down to open shotgun case. Open case. Realize I had it with the barrel facing opposite downrange. Range officer is like 3 steps away. Close the case, flip the case around, open the case, and proceed to unload shotgun. Range officer gives me the biggest smile and a thumbs up. Feels good to make them happy for once. Tell them to take it up with the US Army. I don't give a fuck since I didn't come up with the build. The only ARs I own are clone builds. Unzip penis. Start spinning una circle, urinate. I've never in my life been to a gun range. I should, since you all seem to have so many neat stories, but haven't yet. For ease of shooting, just doing it on my own land in the backyard is hard to beat. And for interesting shooting public land, logging areas and so on have always been too tempting. Make fun of his cringe as gear setup and organization. Really? A drop leg? What's going on with your mags? Nice gun, but you didn't put it together. What you did put together is your shit pouches. Unfuck yourself. Achilles Heel Tactical is holding a training class with Ben Stoker. 320 X5 Legion in a holster goes off while instructor is talking. Round goes through his shoe but doesn't hit his toes. Everyone to the right of the guy said he wasn't touching the gun at all. Instructor says, "Was that a fucking 320?" when he hears the gun go off. 320 is now banned from their classes. Why are retards still carrying this turd? Has someone not actually seen enough video evidence of 320s going off in holsters to have their self-preservation instincts kick in? 1 in a million chance, even if true. It won't happen to me. If it really was that bad, the military wouldn't use it. We've got well more than 1 in 1 million occurrences. That compilation has like 15, and I've seen OPs and another one since then. It's probably a rate like 1 in 10 to 20,000 of produced guns. And it's likely higher if so many weren't safe queens. True, most likely. Airpro, parachutes, boots, MREs, and barracks stuffed with asbestos would like a word. Sigsar's PR team has to become unhinged once again in order to save face that their shitty gun is bad. Can't wait to see what the next Twitter post is going to look like. It really ends today. We're super serious, guys. That class on firearms is clearly anti-gun shills. Achilles Heel Tactical. Gun goes off in holster. Nearly blows off his Achilles heel. Is this poetry? How dare the anti-gun internet trolls do this? Damn engagement hacking grifters. How dare they mock us for our filmed failures? B-Sig lawyer. All lawsuits are settled. The marketing guy is posting cringy, "It's time to set the record straight" shit. Ah shit, they'll probably downsize my department. P320 still does P320 things. My face win. Reminder that Gen 1 P320s are still approved for carry since there was no recall. How do they actually go off on their own? What causes it? Striker fire design, but the striker is fully back without input from the trigger. What does that mean? On a striker pistol like a Glock, the striker isn't in the fully back position and needs the shooter to take it all the way back by pulling the trigger. The trigger bar pushes it back the rest of the way, giving the striker its last bit of power to actually be able to set off the primer. It does that so even if the striker slips past the sear in condition 0, it won't have enough power to set off the round, leading to a discharge of the weapon. Why doesn't the P320 do that? What's the trade-off? A worse trigger pull. Glocks and many other striker-fired pistols are known for poor trigger pulls, because you're pushing back the striker, while you pull the trigger, causing resistance instead of the trigger just releasing the sear to release the striker. The P320 just has the trigger release the striker while it's fully back, meaning a better trigger pull, but for a less safe system. That sounds like a single action only pistol with just a safety, and there are plenty of those that don't just go off. Why does the SIG? Poor quality control and poor parts in general. MIM or metal injection molding parts are already a fickle thing. They're weaker than machined or stamped parts by nature of being cast. If the sear on a P320 breaks or slips, which is more likely with MIM parts, it will go off. There's also something to be said about the P320's design and origin. Being derived from the P250 was a DAO semi-auto pistol. Think of it like a big Ruger LCP, where the trigger physically brings the hammer back with each trigger pull. Trying to cram the exact opposite system into that gun could have been a mistake and completely foolish to do.
Like my demonstration, I want you guys. Alright. Is that a fucking 320?
Yep.
Alright. God damn it, dude. Get this gun off my range. Don't bring it back on the range. God damn.
What do you think is the most terrifying weapon? For me, it's the SLAM, or Project Pluto. Supersonic low-altitude missile. Unshielded nuclear ramjet that flies at a low altitude. Flies around Mach 3 plus for weeks to months on end. intended to drop nuclear bombs on 16 targets, then crash into a final target, irradiating along the way and causing casualties. Sonic bombs can also cause damage to structures and people. Shrieks at 150 decibels. This just seems like a doomsday weapon. Most of the weird torture devices, I'm not sure if they're weapons exactly. It's the neutron bomb for me. It was designed to maximize casualties through radiation. My dick. People laugh themselves to death when they see it. Yeah, that is pretty scary and on. FPV drones, because they can show up at any moment undetected. Hunt you down, very effective at triggering your primal fear instincts, and you're completely powerless to stop them. Plus the knowledge your mangled corpse will be posted on Reddit. Feasible. Project Sundial. Planned to be the equivalent of 10 gigatons of TNT. Sci-fi but still feasible. Relativistic kill vehicle. Sci-fi but not sure if possible. Vacuum decay device. I'm actually surprised someone hasn't tried to build a sundial type device. It's like the ultimate insurance policy against being fucked with. Pretty much any of the nerve agents. Nukes are scary, but it's over in an instant. Something about nerve gas makes me think that deep down we're just funny shaped bugs. The girl reading this. Genetically engineered anthrax. Anthrax, as it is dangerous but not that bad. We can make it so much worse, and prevent it from ever going away. It's still a regular threat in Siberia. Some old shit thaws, unleashes some hundreds of years old anthrax spores, which spreads to local wildlife, then people. Even in conditions without permafrost or old cattle burials locking it in for centuries, it can persist for decades from incidental contamination. If we decide to weaponize it, we can make the earth uninhabitable for humans, forever. Aerosolized prions. Hysteresis motors on drones. Makes them completely silent, just floating in the air until, bam, you're dead. Slam is much more scary. Bah! It's like flying Chernobyl with 26 nuclear bombs. It'd fly at Mach 3 on unshielded nuclear power, dropping radiations everywhere it go. Americans can make this, but never test because too dangerous. Even after dropping all bombs, it'd keep flying for weeks, making cancer to all peoples below. Project Pluto just research, but SLAM is actual weapon. They call it Flying Crowbar, because impossible to stop and very deadly. America canceled because too much scary for even them. I don't remember the name, but that deliriant chemical weapon that would give you nightmarish visions for days. The intensity of EA3167's effects is unparalleled among known psychoactive substances of any class. Incapacitating effects can last anywhere from 5 to 10 days, sometimes manifesting as a full 3-day peak of vivid hallucinations, along with prolonged confusion, amnesia, and inhibition of speech and cognition. Some subjects exposed to the drug would not fully recover for almost 20 days. Even 6 months after exposure, a few subjects demonstrated significant increases in the scores on their hypochondriasis, depression, hysteria, psychasthenia, schizophrenia, and mania scales. The drug's potency caught the attention of the military, which considered weaponizing EA3167 for topical use, potentially even through a handshake. However, weaponization and further studies were eventually abandoned, possibly due to the extreme nature of its effects and the strain on available study resources caused by conducting human studies for extended periods. Dude, what if we replaced our main service rifle with a worse one and a slim chance that someone developed sci-fi body armor in 20 years? Why is the army so retarded? All the smart ones leave, such as every military post-1990. More money than sense, and Sir Sar needs their paycheck. Also, most of the smart military staff goes in Naval or Air Force. It's going to end up as a DMR. Literally another M14 that's greasing the palms of sick Cohen Sar. Don't worry, Sar. Stick his best rifle, Sar. Russia has research and material techniques. They already have NIJ-4 multi-hit surface space-tier ceramics. Not for everyone, though. They have the tech, but not the money to do it. Russian Academy is more skilled, but much poorer. 13-inch barrel for no fucking reason. Up the chamber pressure to get some performance back. This will never not be retarded. Dude, what if we replaced our main service rifle with a worse one in the slim chance that someone developed sci-fi body armor in 20 years? No, it's just to defeat body armor. You may be quite young, I suspect you're very young, but just 15 years ago body armor was not ubiquitous. Now even ragtag militias in Syria all have body armor, so the army needs something that is future-proofed against body armor. Whatever gets developed in the next 20 years, the rifle needs to stand a good chance of dealing with it. Simple as. Now even ragtag militia in Syria all have body armor. Not level 4 plates, which is what the NGSW is aimed at defeating. The NGSW is miraculously retarded. It's as if they dug up Jeff Cooper's corpse and made a cyborg out of him, then made him draft an infantry rifle. US developed sci-fi body armor in secret. Well shit, if we have it, that means in 20 years someone else will too, one way or another. Releases rifle that appears to be hilariously overkill for most use. As with most military things, it takes 10 years to iron out the kinks and actually make it worthwhile. When the Savotniks or whoever finally announces, "We have sci-fi body armor, woo!" The US already has a rifle that can deal with it with the teething issues sorted out. The problem with this rifle is that it can't penetrate body armor anyway. We already know this because you can fire an AP round out of a 24-inch barrel and see that modern plates stop almost anything. There are even Temu plates that can stop 50 BMG API. The fact is, armor technology has vastly outpaced projectile technology. The solution to this is 223 to shoot at extremities, explosives, or you just replace the infantrymen with drones, explosive, and fire support, more explosives. Eventually, we'll probably see robots decked out in plates, and that's when close quarter combat gets really interesting. They cut the barrel down even more? Didn't you make a thread about this earlier? Also, I still want to ask what that little hole is by the stock hinge. Pretty sure it's a place where they figured they could remove some material to reduce weight, since this thing is heavy. America makes new rifle that penetrates high-grade body armor. Largest populace with high-grade body armor is their own citizen. If you reverse image search, you find out that this is a fucking airsoft gun. What if we replaced our service rifle with one that shoots the same round as our new MG for the fucking win again? What if we go back to World War I retardation because herpa-derpa-doo? How is the spear any worse than the M4? Larger, heavier and larger ammo and mags. Much more recoil, much more expensive, lower capacity, so fucking loud and blasty that you must use a suppressor, making it almost as long as an M16 anyway. No bayonet lug, SIG-SAR quality, all to try to address problems which in actuality are imaginary. Sci-fi body armor. And on, China makes $100 plates that meet the level 4 standards and anyone can buy them. Both Militech and LAPG have plates right around that price and they perform fairly well. LAPG's got an undersized striker face, but the striker face itself is quite robust. Reliable defeat of either plate, especially at range, will necessitate a tungsten penetrator. You are retarded, or more accurately, probably just historically uninformed due to a combination of lack of interest in the topic and being born later. If you research the history of the NGSW and its predecessors like the ICSR, you'll learn that armor pen is simply the latest justification in a string of excuses. Before AP, it was range in 2015, and before that, it was good old-fashioned stopping power for CQB in 2000's Iraq. The program's names changed, the justification changed, but the core thread connecting it all was the requirement for big-bore bullets. NGSW was the last gasp of the boomer generals who grew up fantasizing about the M14. And notably, it fails at armor penetration unless you use the tungsten core XM1184. XM1186, the steel core round, does not sufficiently outperform 30-06 M2AP at 2,910 feet per second, enough to defeat even halfway decent level 4. In fact, I think the only real gun design that is new and unique to the market is the Chris Vector. They just keep shitting out gas piston M4 clones because that's all they can think of. Sci-fi body armor? Nah, it's more about fighting in jungle and cities at extremely short ranges. Adopt 5.56. Fight in deserts at long range. Adopt 6.8. Will enter service just in time for short-range jungle fighting. It wasn't even relevant in the desert either. One in the slim chance that someone developed sci-fi body armor in 20 years. It's worse than that actually. The general purpose round won't even penetrate level 4 equivalent plates. The special purpose rounds that probably will are $17 a pop. Yeah, I have no idea what the DoD was smoking when they approved of replacing the M4 with some souped up marksman rifle, but SIG must have given them the good shit. We need better propaganda for recruitment ads. What the fuck happened to the Army recruitment ads? Did the DoD forget most of its recruits are retarded young men? Here's how I would make an Army ad. Dark skies, burning cities, camera pans over an American flag over burning cities. The music is haunting taunting and eerie rendition of the national anthem. America looks apocalyptic. There's soldiers dressed in all-black BDUs also wearing gas masks to dehumanize them. These all-black soldiers are using a mix of Chinese and Russian firearms and kit. They're lining up American citizens, implying they're about to be mass executed. There's quick clips of news reports talking about how America has lost the war, and democracy is no longer a thing. Cut to the men in all black kidnapping American children and indoctrinating them. Children held at gunpoint, forced to burn the American flag. It keeps showing these soldiers in all black doing more awful shit. Then it stops, and a narrator says some shit like, "This is the future for you and all of America. Don't let it happen. Join today." I'm just saying, even if the propaganda doesn't work, I'd prefer entertaining propaganda over some diversity bullshit. Legion is all we need. I'd bet you money she's responsible for over 40% of recruiting. Bring back the Marine fighting some big-ass dragon thing on a laser bridge. You gotta use different recruiting campaigns because the population that will join if convinced is larger than the population that wants to mow down chicks with a machine gun. The USMC has a bunch of aggressive motto ads, but it also has the standard serve your community and your nation in the reserves, and have the Corps pay for your college ads out there, for example. What the services definitely don't need to do is make anything partisan or politicized. That Army ad about Emma and her two moms is a great example of what to avoid. But if they swung the other way and decided to run ads about being Trump's personal T&D force, recruiting would also suffer, just in a different way. How to recruit Gen Z and Gen A. No testing or evaluation. Just tell us what you want to do. Free geek bars for everyone. Seniority doesn't exist anymore. You are your own boss. 4-hour shifts 3 days a week. Show up late? No, you didn't. There's no time schedule. Sign-ups would go through the roof. Free geek bars for everyone. As a 30-year-old Zoomer, sign me the fuck up before I age out. They stopped after Kang beat up his girlfriend. I don't understand ads. Never once have I seen a military ad and even had a brief thought about service, since all that comes up in my mind are drone videos and Redditors bitching about mold and being abused. Why not just pay them more? The best possible military recruitment propaganda you could make today would target depressed NEETs. Guy in a dark room, scrolling PC. Bed is a mess. Clothes on the floor. Window and blinds closed. And the guy looks completely dead inside despite the shiny bright lights on his face. Quick montage of many young men like this, scrolling their life away. Big fucking text on screen. What are you here for? Or something like that. Guy stops having a dead inside face. Suddenly, his face turns to one of determination. Cut to all the losers shown before now being in the army. Ripped, brave, and visibly fulfilled. Voiceover over training montage. Them looking at the camera. I'm here to defend my country. Show a flag of whatever crap appeals to boomer types. I live to be the best version of myself. Show the loser NEET now being a Chad. I'm here for my people. Show a white crowd to get the subliminal message going. I'm here because I ain't no beach. Show the token black being respected by his hood gang friends. Gotta recruit them too. Final scene. Overlooking some patriotic location, maybe even a waving flag. Live up to your potential. / whatever slogan that maximally targets depressed NEETs that play games and watch porn all day. No metal playing in the background, no narrator going, "If you're a real American who loves America, you're going to join us to blow the fuck out of the bad guys with huge guns." No badly edited montage of soldiers firing their guns, tanks moving at max speed, huge explosions, no low quality flaming letters saying America in the background. You messed up, Anon. Army recruiting is blasting down a road at high speed in a Ford Mustang. Down payment paid for with enlistment bonus, and then suddenly transforms into an anime mecha. Vigilante loadout. You want to fight crime, but you don't want to increase gun crime statistics. What do you use? Depends on how you want to go about it. You can take the superhero route, where you, and ideally others, strengthen numbers. Also, like to jump people in groups. Strap on a stab-proof vest, maybe some riot gear, and dress in a colorful costume. Bring weapons that are legal to carry in your area and act like a pseudo-police force. A group like that exists in Seattle, I believe. If you want to lone wolf it, ideally you'd employ stealth and surprise tactics. Compound bow is good, but if you lack training, a crossbow would be better. Simply rushing up to people and stabbing them repeatedly would work, as you could mask the crime as a mugging easily enough. As a singular disconnected entity though, you could hypothetically target higher-ups within organized crime syndicates, being more effective than simply targeting random mooks on the street. At this point, you're essentially acting as an assassin, so proceed accordingly. If your goal is to target street thugs, then you'd need to target them where they're alone. At this point, ranged options are of course advised. However, running up behind someone and hitting them repeatedly in the head with a hammer is surprisingly effective. As I've stated, making it look like a mugging will cover your motives, at least at first. An important thing to note that affects all these options is that information is key. You're capable of gathering and using info far more effectively than a dumbass thug can. Use it to your advantage. Local gangs mysteriously wiped out overnight. Police reports hundreds of bodies killed by arrows. Open an abortion clinic in a black neighborhood. Long-term solution, but effective. Can you kill a guy reliably with this? There used to be a Jew around who was pretty skilled with it. Assuming you can hit him, yes. Use lead and aim for the vitals. If you want to fight crime, then a blowgun is best. With modern materials, you can even make one propelled by gas that can fit in a sleeve and be pretty hard to detect by potential witnesses. Be sure to get a nice poison on the darts to really clean up the streets. I've considered an air gun, but they would just think it was a gun crime, or worse, try to regulate air guns. Something that is primitive to the point of being unregulatable would be a better choice. It shows how futile these laws are and cleans up the area. How about a repeating crossbow loaded with number 2 pencils? They just keep finding dudes stabbed to death with pencils. What are they gonna ban? I would bet that George Sprave has a video on his Slingshot channel. Let me show you its features. Ha 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 ha! Machete, thermite crossbow bolts, exploding arrowhead on ballistic gel with different bows. How could one go about desensitizing themselves to killing in Minecraft, specifically stabbing and cutting flesh with a diamond sword? I've heard human blood and innards have a very distinct smell. I've killed and cut open animals in Minecraft before though. How different is it? Watch edgy Minecraft villager combat videos. The desert villagers usually post some graphic stuff. There are no crime statistics when the lights go out and the cameras are off. Just tuck some billiard balls in your sock. Froggy, you'll be fine. I'm sick and fucking tired of hearing you halfwits talk about increasing gun crime statistics. There's no such fucking thing. It doesn't matter what you do, they're going to say the same thing they always did anyways, which was always bullshit. They don't need any substance to base their bullshit on, and never did. You act as if we're dealing with reasonable people that just want to know the truth and are using statistics as best they can to figure out what's going on. But that's fucking stupid because we're not, and any statistics they use will just be a lie anyways. Because that's what statistics are for. Lying. Does this stuff actually help defenders get out of sticky situations? Do you have experience from either end of it? Seems pretty gay, to be honest. Like if a is fucking with you, just shoot him. Old thread, but it's all fun and games until the media comes after you and then you have to face up against some shit-lib prosecutor who will do everything in their power to put you behind bars. I don't have a gun, but I always have pepper spray. It's better than a pocket knife. Lol, you gay. Just get a gun and shoot him, bro. Do you get experience from either end of it? Yes. It works great if you spray the person directly in the eyes. That's very difficult to do though. Honestly, it isn't reliable and I wouldn't trust my life to it. I would rather have a knife. Those things will get you killed. Yes, mace is effective with a couple of caveats. You have to hit the person in the face and you have to do it before they close the distance. Otherwise, you'll be spraying yourself too. Same in a confined space. The effects will be shared by people in it. Mind you, it doesn't stop someone from attacking even with their eyes closed, and if they're high enough on something, they can maybe force their eyes open through the pain. Ancient thread, and I doubt OP remembers he even made this thread, but it's a good middle ground solution where de-escalation/flight isn't an option, but discharging a lethal weapon may not be appropriate given the circumstances and factors. If you're threatened but have assessed a firearm would be overkill but still need to incapacitate the individual, utilizing a spray would have you facing the prosecution of assault with a weapon instead of second-degree murder. I'm the furthest thing from a lawyer, but I'd take my chances with the former. Let me know if you disagree. First time green texting, felt I had to get this off my back to at least let someone hear it. Be me 2 years ago. Parents own a cabin in northern Saskatchewan. Yes, I am a northern Canada cuck. Fuck off. Decided I want to spend time by myself up there. Parents agree because they want me out of their attic. Been really into X the past little while, so I found the idea of being by myself and isolated with whatever is out there in northern forest oddly comforting. Drive up there late November. Stocked up on food to last a few months. Leave my phone at home since I only use it for internet-related stuff. Cabin has electricity and a dish. No internet, but all my video are offline anyway. Bring rifle as well for hunting. Cabin has basic rectangular layout with an extension added on when my sister and I were born, to add extra room for us on vacations there. Mostly made out of wood except for the tin roof on the extension. Unpack my shit and chill when I show up. Cabin is really close to the tree line, very small clearing it was built on. Others would find this claustrophobic. I find it comforting. Like I said, oddly relaxed when it comes to the vaguely threatening like X. First night I chill and listen to the sounds of animals as I fall asleep. No TV, just relaxing and settling into my new environment. Hear cow moose off in the distance. Pretty chill. First day, get all my winter clothes on and head out into the woods. Stay close by the trees where the snow is mildly easier to walk through. I don't go out by any major clearings because snow is too deep. Reminded all the times I walked through these woods as a kid with family. Decide to get out further and travel in parts I never went before. Parents would never tell us where we could and couldn't go. Just never got around to it when I was younger. Hear that cow moose off again in the distance. Hell yeah, maybe I can get up close and have a good look at it. Moose are kind of dangerous up here since they're not familiar with people, but I figure I could climb a tree if it charges for some reason. Walk to where the call is coming from. Sound doesn't get any louder, but I figured that it must be walking away from me. Can't find any moose tracks, so I decide it's too far away to even chase after. Only like 7 hours of daylight at this time of the year, or something, so I start walking back. This is not the kind of place you want to get lost in. Once back home, start to think about the whole thing. Consider myself paranoid. Cook dinner and go to bed. Things went on quietly for the next few weeks. Found a rotting bull moose with all the skin on its head chewed off. Explain it away as maggots or other small animals. Tried to go hunting for a deer or anything else, but could never find tracks despite all the calls I heard at night. Mostly female for some reason. Always tell myself they must be out further than I usually venture. One day go out and actually manage to snag a small buck. Fuck yeah, .png. Never shot one by myself before, so I have no idea how to take care of the meat. Decide I'd leave it till tomorrow and butcher it when I wake up. Go full retard mode and leave it hanging outside as to not stink up the cabin. Next day, go out and there are fucking bite marks taken out of it. God fucking damn it, .jpg. Some animal got to it first and mangled the poor bastard. Really went at it on the head for some reason. All the skin was chewed off. Couldn't recognize the bite marks, but decided to stop walking out so far into the woods. Start to wonder how I got a male buck if all the calls I heard were female. I know what calls mean what, and these were more long, drawn out, indicating female. Paranoia sets in, since I get anxious about random bullshit. Quickly make myself forget about it, since I promised myself I'd stay for the full few months, and not go home early. Next night, can't sleep because of anxious thoughts. Insomnia.gif. Begin to hear a very slight noise. It was a very quiet night, so I would be able to hear something outside if anything was there. The sound is almost rhythmic, but I can make out what it is. Eventually it gets louder as if the sound itself is frustrated. Realize something must be making it. Sit up and listen to what has now become an audible scratching noise like something being scraped over wood. Sound travels all the way across the cabin, past where I'm sleeping in the extension, and all the way around again. The second time it passes the extension, it stops right where I'm sitting in the bed for just a moment and then continues. This goes on for a few minutes, then stops. Pass out from exhaustion. The next day I have to convince myself what happened wasn't a dream. Begin to form an idea in my mind of some intelligent animal. It can't just be a coincidence. In the middle of the day, I build up the courage to go outside and see what happened. Scratches in the snow-covered walls. Not enough to wreck the wood, but enough to see a pattern of scratches that were more than a few feet above the ground, as if something did them purposefully. This wasn't just some dumb animal. Finally decided to take a look at my door. The scratches were serious on the wooden door, as if someone with gigantic fingernails spent hours scraping at it. Tripping balls on fear at this point. Whatever it was intelligent enough to tell the door was the way in, but predatory enough to use circling as an intimidation tactic. Come to the logical conclusion that whatever this was, it must have been the same thing that mauled my fucking buck. Finally decided to look at the footprints. Best way to describe them as long bare footprints. Whatever the fuck this thing was, it certainly was not a bear. Begin to realize something. There was no footprints around the cabin, just ones leading up to it and leaving. The thing was climbing around the walls and dragging its nails to create the scratches. Definitely not a bear. Just want to fucking get out of here at this point. Sun starts to go down and storm clouds start moving in. I've been out here for 2 hours just looking at all this shit in awe. Can't leave in blizzard or in the dark, so I lock myself the fuck in and get into bed with gun. Mine starts racing when night hits. Wind is howling outside, but off in the distance I heard that goddamn cow moose call again. Begin to put 2 and 2 together. Whatever the fuck this thing was, it was calling male animals in by mimicking female mating calls. Must have preferred male animals since they had more meat. When I left that goddamn buck outside, it could tell I was here. The first full day I spent here and was trailing that cow moose call, it must have been right fucking above me in a tree. Train of thought was stopped when I heard that goddamn scratching noise again. I can barely make it out because of the loud-ass blizzard, but I recognize it. Either it sees me as an alpha predator rifle, or as prey at this point. I don't know which is worse. This goddamn thing is insanely good at climbing because I hear the sounds of feet on a wooden roof. Storm is so loud I can't make out exactly where the feet are on the roof. Just hearing the sounds of feet on the roof and snow faintly. Suddenly the sound changes to feet on tin. Right fucking above me, .jpg. I can't handle this shit anymore, but I can't leave because that's exactly what it wants. The sounds of banging on tin go on for what feels like hours as the storm rages on. Eventually it goes away, thank God. Blizzard begins to die down too. Can hear things more clearly outside. Was not fucking prepared for what happened next. Hear woman's voice outside. Not making any discernible words, almost babbling, moaning like it's orgasming. Oh no you fucking don't, you barefoot demon. You're not tricking me like you did all those moose and deer. Sounds very close, at least within the tree line. Grab a big ass flashlight and open one of the unlocked windows. Shine outside where the sound is coming from. See 7 foot tall, slim, muscular build at first, then eyes adjust to what I'm looking at. Face is a hideous interpretation of a human's, like if you described to an alien what a person looked like and told them to draw it, then fed the drawings to dogs. Nose was turned up like it was facing directly at me. Eyes weren't sunken in like one would expect. They were bulbous and protruding with gigantic fucking pupils. Eyes looked almost swollen. The best way to describe the mouth was like the one on the mouth of Sauron from Return of the King. Round and way too big. Face was shaped like a baboon's face. Very oval, like with a heavy brow ridge. The only difference being was that it was incredibly flat and its forehead was huge. It pulled its lips back to bare its teeth in a predatory fashion, except all it looked like was as if it was smiling at me. Its hands were a grotesque combination of sloth and human hands. In one of its hands, it held the head of a buck. Had all the skin on it chewed off like before. This was a goddamn threat. After getting a good look at it, I take a shot at it. Not sure if I hit it since the flashlight dropped, but I could see it drop the head and run off into the woods. Grabbed the flashlight and pointed it in its direction again. Could barely make out the shape of it climbing a tree in seconds and jumping off from one tree to another. Stayed up the rest of the night and left in the morning. Came home early and told my parents I was feeling lonely as an excuse to come back. Never told them about it because they would have accused me of taking drugs. This is probably the only time I'll ever tell this story anyways. I don't believe in magic or forest demons because I'm not a complete retard. I believe what I saw was a grotesque failure of evolution. Some mutated fucking animal that managed to survive long enough out there. Not giving it a stupid name like other autists do when they see shit on this board. I'm never going back to fucking northern Saskatchewan as long as I live. Be me, at range with friends, not wearing eye protection because I'm too cool for that. One brought his new purchase, an old semi-auto Uzi. It's finicky but fun. Eventually it jams on him. Hey Anon, what do I do? Feeling like the gun expert I'm not, I take it from him and look into the ejection port. Failure to feed. Case is only partly visible. Charging handle won't move the bolt. While working on it, I absent-mindedly pulled the trigger. Casing explodes, peppering me in burning and unburnt powder. Entire range is looking at me. Both eyes work, thank God. Assure friends I'm okay and empty water bottle onto my face. Mag dump my AK in general direction of my target for reassurance. Wear iPro now, most of the time. Be my uncle during basic training. Training with live grenades. Everything going fine. Some retard pulls the pin. It's just holding the grenade with the safety lever down, not throwing it. Drill sergeant tackles the guy and throws the grenade over the range wall. damn near kills everybody. Not to mention a story of the guy who offed himself during basic training by jumping off a building because he couldn't call his mother. B-friend, sighting in a bunch of glass at the range on a few bolt-action rifles. Old couple pull up with teenage kid. Grandpa has a few bolt-action rifles. Grandma has a bunch of pistols and way too much makeup. Kid has a look of concern and fear on his face. All three approach firing line. Grandpa hands his kid a bolt action and uses his bolt to show the kid how it works. Kid is either too weak to work the bolt or not understanding it. Grandpa proceeds to get more and more irate with the kid. Presumed grandson. Friend ignores them and keeps zeroing his rifles. A few minutes later, he hears rapid fire from down by the old couple. Woman screaming bloody murder. Be me. Pull up to the range late because I wanted a snack. Enjoying my $5 footlong. Back when they were $5. Go into gun store and pay for my range time. Come outside to hear rapid pistol fire and woman screaming. Go back inside and tell range Janny something bad happened. He storms out and tells me to call the cops. Call cops and tell them something is happening at X gun store. They ask for details. Dude, I don't fucking know, I just got here. Sit in gun store and finish my sandwich while cops show up. Friend eventually comes into gun store with all 6 of his rifles. He trips on the carpet and he goes down. Rifles all over the floor. More police show up and come into gun store. Held at gunpoint by cops who think we were stealing all these rifles. Tried to explain to them what's going on, but they continue to detain us. Tummy rumbling from all the soda and sandwich. Ask cops if I can use the bathroom because tummy hurts. They say no. Hold back literal shitstorm for 30 minutes while Officer Silly Billy asks us retarded questions. Eventually cleared and cops allow me to go shit. Bathroom is locked. Can't get into it. Gun store owner comes back in. Looks tired. Ask him if I can use his potty. He says no and tells us the store is closed and that we need to leave. Ask for refund for range time. He says no. Me and my friend leave and I shit at the same Subway I got my sandwich from. Old woman negligently discharged into her own hand multiple times. Somehow, friend wasn't really paying attention and just got up and left as soon as the woman shot herself. Overall, a comedy of errors, and I didn't get to shoot my brand new PTR 91. Went to school in a major metropolitan area for over a decade. Am the only one in a friend group really into guns. Though I am no guns at the time. There's a range about an hour from our school that does rentals. It's in the hood, 2013. Friend and I take South Korean exchange student. He had served in the ROK Army, but had some support guy job, so barely touched a weapon. We rent a bunch of handguns. Start shooting. Urban gentleman in the lane next to us with a rented Glock has silhouette target literally 3 yards in front of him. Screams, "This is for George Zimmerman right here." Proceeds to mag dump into paper. Raises Mr. Zimmerman around 15 times. Say nothing, both because I am amused and because I don't want to get shot 8 times in my shoulder. 11 years later, has guns now. Get out of Army. Start job in some metropolitan area. Former cutie pie co-worker from Army has gotten out too and is going to grad school in the area. She has become a hardcore lefty. Wants to get back into shooting so she can shoot at cops if Blumph wins. Hits me up wanting to go shooting. Is vaguely flirtatious. Normie girlfriend just dumped me. Want to get laid. Seems like a fair risk. While there are other ranges in the area, this one still has the nicest facilities / least douchey staff despite rowdy clientele. She's in fully lefty mode, so urban gentlemen won't scare her. Send it. Go to range, get on lane. Start shooting ARs. She's rusty, but clearly enjoying it. Clearly getting excited. My monkey brain kicking in. Think I have this in the bag. If we weren't in public, we'd go for it now. Blam blam! Look in lane next to us. Another urban gentleman. He is hip firing a 5.5-inch barrel AR with a giant muzzle brake. Blatant 80% lower. Absolutely no sights whatsoever on this fucking thing. Target is 3 yards away. Concussive fireball doing more than the bullets. Unpleasant concussion is clearly killing the vibe. Fail to seal the deal later. Despite my butt hurt, still frequent that range. Story from Sunday. First time shooting my own firearm. 44 black powder Remington 1858. Go to a range with a younger brother. Ask the range manager if he can instruct us on how to load the gun. Nah boys, I'm not familiar with black powder. You will have to figure that out yourself. Go to the 12-meter Abbey. Set up Osama bin Laden target. Load 1. Test fire. Everything's fine. Load full cylinder. Fire. The ball hits target, then a rubber mat on the backstop and bounces straight into brother's shoulder who's standing behind me. It has the energy of a pebble thrown by a toddler. Lands on a table. It is intact and has the ring scratched on it from the cylinder. What the fuck? Tell the range manager and his buddy about the incident. Yeah, it's normal with lead projectiles. That even happens with shotgun slugs. Oh, okay. Just shoot from bay 1 into the target on bay 2, diagonally, and it will be fine. We do this. Shots still bounce, but not straight into us. I was pretty spooked, not gonna lie, but it was a fun experience overall. Nobody told me to expect that, though. Be me, gun autist, at range with new FN 1950 and 30-06. First Mauser. Boomer bros are there. Cool guys, but kind of retarded. Ask about my old war horse. Tell them about it. Proud as fuck. Oh yeah, 40-06. That's like 308. You what, mate? Other boomer comes in. Yeah. That's 762 all the way. We made them to be interchangeable. You fucking what? Tell them that's bullshit. They won't believe it. One gives me a 308 and tells me to chamber it. Mildly amused, but sure, why not? Put it in magazine. Chamber around. Pull back bolt to show that it's too short in there. The round sticks to the bolt face. Dear Lord, it chambers. Realize the controlled feed keeps round on bolt face. Idea. Chamber it again, aim, fire. It works fine. Ejects fine. Brass is fucked. Keep firing 308 all day. Boomers feel like gun gods for this. They now believe all 30-06 guns can also fire 308. Believe their Garands are broken. Years later, realize my retardation. Now love the Mauser design. Retardation is a potent weapon. The fucking bell curve is real. Fuck, I kinda pressed that one. Here we go. Be me, gun autist. I feel inadequate in my removal skills. Go to friend who does police consulting shit. He does tactical courses for friends and cops and scary people. Israeli fuck that he is. Go to course. Pretty cool. Outdoors, indoors, low light, and kill house. Everybody gets random guns. Get literally the short stick with the fucking G29. Fuck my life. Can't use the mag catch right, cause grip's too small. Still do pretty good. Shoots surprisingly nice. Towards the end, his friend comes in with his wife. Wants the wife to get some training in. Sure, why not? Anybody else want to stay a bit longer? 5 other autists. One of them told me straight up how to kill someone and make it look like he attacked you. Didn't even ask him to go away. I stayed cause why not? Wife gets the gun. Jesus protect me. Takes the gun confidently. Loads it. Straight up negligently discharges right next to my head. Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. I swear to God I felt the bullet graze my fucking ear. Turns towards me, smiles and says, sorry. You fucking what? Too stunned to react. Just accept my fate and watch her shoot. Get to shoot some more. Later, instructor apologizes. I try to laugh it off and joke. If she hit me, would he have made me disappear? He doesn't laugh. He says yes. Never been back there since, but still go shooting with the friend. Cool guy. Get to shoot with gun store owners with a ridiculous arsenal. Thank God the wife never came with us again. Motherfucker unironically looks like pick related. Young grandpa finds old World War II German grenade stash. Great time to go fishing with the other teens. Fishing goes great till a bad throw hits a branch and bounces back. Run for their lives. Shrapnel hits my grandpa only in the big toe somehow, almost severing it. Had weirdest big toe with fucked up extra thick nail all his life. Other friend ducked behind a tree, but bum stuck out. 20 shrapnels in his bum and a whole day of surgery. The only thing that saved them was the many trees around the riverbank that sucked up 90% of the fragments. I just have one dumb story worth sharing. Be me, little kid, go camping with dad, brother, uncle, and cousin. Dad brings along our old 22 lever action. Did some target shooting in the woods. Priceless childhood memory. Get back to camp and set around fire with the rest of the kids. Find a live 22 round nearby. Heard or hey guys, should I toss this in the fire? Nobody really looks concerned or says no, so I toss it in. Everyone tells me to get it out. Panic and poke around the ashes. Bang! Nobody hurt. Dad wakes up from dad nap and chews me out for 20 minutes. Hold on to this story for literally 20 years thinking about how I could have killed someone or myself. Same uncle comes to town last year. Literally hadn't seen him in over a decade. Hey Anon, remember that time you were a kid and tossed that 22 into the fire? Yeah, we all had a good laugh. Good thing it couldn't actually hurt anyone. What the fuck? He clarifies how it explodes and doesn't actually shoot like a gun. Feel even more stupid. We all learn things, just slower. Military stories. Tell us the most interesting / weird things you've seen / experienced while serving in your country's armed forces. Can also be law enforcement too. I don't know what it is, but I'll offer the story anyway. On aft, lookout, watch 0004 in Pacific. Bored as shit. My phone died, so I can't play music like I usually do. See an air contact flying about 180 relative, with a 50-degree position angle. Think nothing of it. OOD in combat never want to hear air contact reports. We don't have an air radar on our ship. It's an MCM. The air contact abruptly shifts from 180 to 220 and shoots up to a 60-degree position angle out of nowhere. It is now maintaining a parallel course to us roughly. Again, thinking nothing of it, I don't really give a shit. The contact moves so fast, blink and you miss, literally, and is suddenly on the complete opposite side of the ship, still maintaining same course and speed. Call it in. I get a response from OOD that amounts to, "Stop wasting my time." The contact slips into 3 additional contacts. One sits at its current heading, one goes to 180, and another 220. I call this one in, and the CICWO comes out, presumably to tell me to stop bullshitting on comms. To see them merge back into the contact at 180 and then disappear. He tells me, "Wow, that's crazy. Never mentioned ever again." Saw a guy get his thumb ripped off by tripping. BC-130 engine troop. Dude is known for being a klutz. Dude goes to exit C-130 crew door and slips. Reaches out to grab something and by chance his thumb skin gets snagged on a piece of sharp metal around the edge of the door. As he falls, his thumb gets stuck, pops out of the socket and degloves 1/3 of his hand. Thumb left hanging on the door frame with a bunch of loose flesh. Last I heard they were trying to kick him out because he lost a part of his fucking thumb. On topic of losing fingers, something that happened not so long ago. Female M113 instructor encountered issues with power in the APC. Instead of calling maintenance crew, she calls her officer. He tells her to check if the alternator is spinning. Proceeds to stick her hand in to check. Alternator was spinning, and it wasn't easy to find her finger. Well, on the dumb women topic, we were OP4 for a stress test on a nuclear sub-facility, and some dumbass Navy chick fired live rounds at people. We were using blanks with the BFA, but since it was an active site, they had the DOD guards with live ammo. So, one of the guards dropped kit to use the bathroom, and this girl was firing blanks. But when she ran out, she grabbed a bag from the guard kit with live ammo. Blew off her blank firing adapter and kept shooting like another 4 to 5 rounds until someone punched her in the face and took her weapon from her. Day X of exercise. No one has slept well. Everyone is cold and miserable. Guy at the OP even more so. Staring at a tree line, completely zapped of energy. Extremely hungry and tired for hours on end does things to your mind. Suddenly, we hear him frantically on the radio talking about spotting 3 men in full snow camo climbing a telephone pole, attaching something to it. Everyone scrambles to combat positions. Information is passed up the chain of command. Suddenly, we realize we're in the middle of nowhere. There are no telephone poles for miles in any direction. Last I heard, he had actually started hallucinating and got it checked out by a doctor, confirming he wasn't just trying to get out of the shit. I don't know what happened to the other guy on the post, but it's a funny story. Reminds me of a little story of mine. Pleb at MX Naval Academy. We begun guard duty around 2 months after entering. During the first semester, we were shadows, accompanying a senior cadet to be instructed. Second semester, we are no longer shadows. When you are on watch, deployed at the school's flag, war flag, combat flag, ensign, don't know the proper term for it. You are not allowed to move. You are at attention for 1 or 2 hours depending on the time of your watch. Pleb's sleep on average was 2 to 3 hours. On good days, you would sleep up to 4 hours. Plebs run everywhere, no matter how small the distance is to your destination. Plebs do constant PE, punishment whenever you screw up. Basically, you're always fucked up because of the lack of sleep and constant PE. On watch at the school's flag room around 2 a.m. It was midterm, so of course I only managed to sleep 40 minutes before entering on watch. The area where the flag was located was a small building, a memorial, on the entrance of the academy, no longer in use. Kind of like a small museum with a permanent exposition of the story of the academy. There were 2 cadets deployed at the memorial sentry guarding the flag and a guard that could freely move around the memorial. Camera on the roof, watching the sentry 24/7. The other cadet is in my class. Hey Anon, I'm going to try and get some sleep on the corner. Give me a shout out if anyone comes close. Buddy goes into the dark room, the mini museum room, with poor lighting. Have my hat on so my visor can hide my eyes from the camera. Face down just slightly to get on the sweet blind spot. Brahms Lullaby.mp3. Around 30 minutes pass. Suddenly hear footsteps and a formation stopping. Hear footsteps entering the memorial. Oh shit. Can't move my limbs nor call out the other pleb. See a cadet looking at me furiously. And on! He shouts to me while suddenly comes to me as pissed as if he was about to beat me the fuck up. I scream internally. I'm in danger, .png. Suddenly inhale as if I had just returned from the afterlife yelling. Heavy breathing. No one around. Was I just dreaming? Swear to God it was too fucking real. Calm down slightly, hoping the person on CCTV in charge of the flag's camera was asleep or unaware of the madman that started yelling all by himself while on watch. 5 more minutes pass. Here again the formation stopping and footsteps. Here comes the relief. Stand at attention as best and sane as I can. 5 minutes pass. No one comes. 10 more minutes pass. No signs of life. Took another 25 to 30 minutes for the relief to come. Tell my second grader about what just happened. That's the phantom relief and on. It's quite common. Happens to me too. Can also be law enforcement too. Did a stint with investigations. Being a detective is gay. Doing follow-up interviews regarding a bad burglary, a couple street scholars kicked the guy's door in, beat him, and tossed the house. Neighborhood is fairly nice, but full of pro-BLM and in-this-house paraphernalia. Finally get to the last house on the block. Alright, but definitely boomer-owned for the last 40 years. Massively obese woman answers. Invites me in to answer questions. Several cats present with expected smells. Experienced worse, so whatever. Waltz to the kitchen. Asks if I want something to drink. No ma'am, I'm fine, thank you. Watch her pull a 2-liter of Coke out of the pantry, and then pour it into a coffee mug. Don't think anything of it. Keep asking questions. Puts mug in microwave. Microwaves for a minute and a half. Takes it out and takes a big swig of microwaved Coca-Cola. Well, the kitchen now overwhelmingly smells like heated corn syrup. Quickly finish up and leave. I've seen and experienced some shit, and for whatever reason, that woman drinking microwave Coke sticks with me. Even now, about 6 years later. Not completely unheard of to heat up soda. Back in the 60s, they tried to make hot Dr. Pepper into a Christmas thing. Didn't catch on though. Randomly told to go help the early separators who are getting out before they completed basic. I myself hadn't even completed basic when I was tasked to do it. Arrive at the place. They have a badass raptor as their logo. Get inside. Ask the guy in charge what he needs me to do. Supposed to take these guys to turn in their clothes. Walk to get them. About 5 to 6 grown men watching SpongeBob in a dark room that smells like shit. By one of the beds, there's a styrofoam plank from Ed, Edd n Eddy made to look like a black man. Pause for a moment as I realize autistic people are probably not meant for the military. Wonder if I was meant for the military. Return to civvy life a year later. I spent a year doing Russian military service. Small radar base in bumfuck nowhere near the Finland border. Group of guys decides to huff gasoline for fun. They entered the truck that electrifies the entire radar system. The radar is on duty. Someone decides to switch some lever off. It powers down the radar. Everyone on base knows something wrong has happened. They flee the scene. They decide that they're about to get caught. They decide to destroy the evidence. Sunday evening, only a single officer is present. Everyone else is relaxing home drinking or some shit. Fire up a fire in a barrel. Start pouring the gasoline in. One of the guys thinks it would be funny and throws some gasoline in some other guy's direction. Gasoline fumes ignite mid-flight. The other guy gets hit by basically burning napalm right in his face. Starts screaming and drops to the ground. Everyone rushes to him and tries to put out the fire. They look at the guy's wounds. It's bad. Lower parts of his face and part of the neck is just a massive 3rd-degree burn. The hand he used to try and cover himself with is fucked and part of the skin is straight up coming off the muscle tissue. Oh shit, .png. No idea what to do. They bring the guy back to the barracks. The poor officer dude thought he would have a nice shift with no incidents. No military personnel on base. The best we had was a girl who has finished a nurse school. Her entire work was Googling the symptoms if any were present or bandaging. Who was not present either. He makes a telephone call to the base commander. Commander is drunk as fuck. Still tries to access the situation. If word of this gets out, the entire base is going to get raided by military police and everyone involved, including the commander and that one officer, would receive prison time. Gotta keep that hush-hush. He brings some civilian clothing, dressed up the injured guy, and brings him to a civilian hospital, paying basically his entire monthly salary for the treatment. As the guy gets his burns treated, regiment commander suddenly visits with an inspection. He does the personnel check, notices that some guy isn't present, demands an explanation. He's, on combat duty, haha. Army base commander gets reprimanded. A month plus later, that one guy returns from the hospital. He has a shitload of bandages. He still has some burn scars, but it's not as bad as everyone thought it would be. His uniform is basically melted near the neck/shoulder area, so he has to buy a new one. The group of guys just continue their duty as if nothing has ever happened. The guy who threw the gasoline gets some shitty treatment from the officers involved, but that's it. Southern Afghan, circa 2009. On patrol. I'm the fucking saw gunner despite being all of 135 pounds because my team leader hates me. Have 4 200-round pouches weighing down on my diaphragm as we walk. Can barely breathe under the scorching sun. It's over 115 degrees Fahrenheit. Naturally, the Taliban ambush us. The LT comes sprinting down the line in a panic, screaming, "We've got to get out of here!" Immediately plop down into the prone position and try to dump some ammo so I can fucking breathe. Team leader smacks my helmet, tells me to cut that shit out. Fine, fucker. Taliban have us in an L-shaped ambush as we patrol along a canal. Break contact into a system of orchards. The Taliban fucking chase us. We're bounding through orchards, jumping over walls. At this point, I have a heat stroke and am delirious. Start to fade out. Remember falling, being helped up, firing, reloading. We're walking along a causeway and I'm half dead. Naturally, we take fire from a tree line about 50 meters away. Look left, look right, everyone is in the prone except me. Green tracers zipping by my torso like fast, angry insects. As I finally realize what's going on and hit the dirt, the CAS comes on station. Kiowas dump missile pods and 50 cal into the tree line. Watch it go up and fire. Awestruck. I've got many more actual combat stories, but I'm too lazy to write them up. I was stationed at Vandenberg and got asked on a PA tour by some old boomer where the tunnel to Area 51 was. I said, "What, like in Deus Ex?" And he had no idea what I was talking about. Me, helping to load up a tractor trailer. Airman on the forklift is a retard. Airman spotting him onto the trailer is an even bigger retard. Had to run back into the building to take a phone call. Dumb shit spotter gets knocked in the mouth by a forklift tine custodian claw style because the dumb shit driver jerked the controls. Rips out his right cheek and like 5 or 6 teeth. Got my butthole pushed in by safety because I was supposed to be supervising them. But they were both fully qualled and my boss rushed them through training, so I beat the case. Lol. Be me, working as a security guard for a university after I got out. Good school, but is located near the shithole part of town. One of the students is fucking a townie drug dealer. Dealer blows his dick off and lights himself on fire trying to cook meth out of a Gatorade bottle in the dorm parking lot. Girl OD'd a couple months later and threatened to kill herself when I said I'd tell her mom. Tried to hang herself with an extension cord run through an air vent cover, but the bitch was so fat the roof immediately fell in once she kicked the chair out. Got a $400 bill and suspension letter from the school while she was on psych hold, Lamau. Some Pajit exchange student gets shot down by the girl he was crushing on. Pulls out a Leatherman in his next class and uses the flathead screwdriver bit to start stabbing the palms of his hands. By the time I get there, he's got chunks ripped out. Everyone's screaming, but of course nobody tried to intervene. The kid is screaming that he wants to die and can't live with the shame that nobody loves him. I get in trouble because the body cam catches me telling the kid, "If you were trying to kill yourself, why didn't you just use the Leatherman knife?" Famous guns. Guns that are infamous, such as the Charter Arms 38 Undercover, used to kill famous hippie John Lennon. I call it the Imagine There's No Oxygen pistol, and Fug Marlboro. Say hello to the real cowboy killer. Behold the Carcano, not used by a low-ranking soldier and Manchurian candidate to blow JFK's brains out along with all other passengers in rapid succession while said victims were in a moving vehicle. Also proof that John Moses Browning's designs are without flaw. I was actually thinking about getting a Charter in 9mm. Now I just want one for meme's sake, so now it's in my bucket list. Why isn't this advertised on their website? The Pitbull and Bulldog revolvers are available in 9mm, and appear to have the same styling as the Undercover used by Chapman. Yeah, for pure meme potential, carrying the ultimate hippie killer is pretty fucking cool. Also, nice contribution. Didn't think of Franz Ferdinand or JFK. Shit, what'd they use to murk Bobby Kennedy? Also, Browning was incapable of making bad weapons. God himself helped that man. A 22 caliber Ivor Johnson cadet model revolver. The weapon used by Sirhan to gun down Robert Kennedy, Democratic nominee for President of the United States of America. A Fabrique Nationale M1910, chambered in .380, serial number 19074. The gun used to kill Archduke Franz Ferdinand. and start the war that probably broke Western morality. Browning sure made them reliable. September 8th, 1935. Wei Long is killed by a lone gunman who walked up and shot him with an FN 1910, a popular assassination gun. On March 16, 1984, Gary Plow shot and killed the pedophile who raped his son. As far as I can tell, he used a .38 hollow point fired from a Smith & Wesson Model 19 .357 revolver. Can't say I blame Gary. The gun that cures pedophilia. The .32 Ivor Johnson safety automatic revolver used to kill William McKinley on September 14, 1901. Ivor Johnson apparently has 2 presidential kills to its name. April 14, 1865. Arch-Yankee and general all-around shitheel Abraham Lincoln is shot in the head with a .44 fired from an original Henry Derringer pocket pistol. He died from complications following loss of his brains the following day.